गुड मॉर्निंग एंड वेलकम टू गना शॉट। गना शॉट में आप सबका स्वागत है। Today morning we're going to see the Chinese needle. It's oscillating very wildly. Have you seen an ammeter where it goes like this, tuck, 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 tuck? That's what's happening in China, right? And a lot of uncertainty. Everything is in the gray zone there. I mean, for the first time, I see China itself in the gray zone. And we've been watching this struggle between Zhang Yujia and Xi Jinping. Wild rumors. We still don't know what's the truth, right? There are rumors which say the standoff is still lost. There are rumors which say, oh, it's over. Zhang Yujia is out of the scene. Xi Jinping is in air, in chair. Well, that's speculation. Whether Xi Jinping is in chair or not, we don't know. I mean, he's in chair, he's not out of it. Or Zhang Yujia is completely out or not, we don't know. But either way, things are bad. Either way, things are bad. And this is what we need to understand. And this is what I'm going to talk of. There is political uncertainty which swings either side. And there's economic uncertainty which swings either side. Right? And that's what makes this needle oscillate wildly. On one hand, you see the premier of Finland going to China. The British Prime Minister Keir Starmer was there yesterday. Nothing much has come out of it, right? And everything seemed normal, but is it so? It's not so, right? It's only natural that China has so far not reacted on the India-US, the EU deal. So that's also an issue. So all these things put together, I thought I'll put across a few macro issues, which should make us think. I've spoken of these many times with others, everything. But I thought I'll put some of these issues in picture, my way, right? This tweet came out a few days back. And these are all Chinese handles. Now, these Chinese handles are coming in Twitter. They're not coming exactly out of China, but these are all guys who are either using a VPN or something like that, or they are probably expats with connects. That's it. Okay, he says there's this handle says urgent scoop in the early morning at Beijing's Western Hills on January 28th. January 28th, 2 days back. Zhang Yujia's direct lineage 82nd Army Group storm assault team successfully took out Minister of Public Security Wang Jiahong. That means there's a firefight on. Is there a civil war on? I don't think so. I mean, at least that's what it doesn't come out. If such thing happened, it would have come out completely. But definitely things are not normal. That's the point I'm trying to make. Whether Zhang Yujia is completely subdued or not is not clear. And it might not be clear for some time. The whole story is a bit problematic because his arrest and announcement went post haste. The uncertainty is in the air. And what's going to happen, we don't know. That's what makes China a problem. And we'll go with it. Oh, this handle, Yi Fing Shu. Okay, Yi Fing Shu. It's a very interesting handle. It comes out with a lot of good things. He says, a lot of people, this is their observation within China. Xi Jinping has left many things unfinished and abandoned. Not only has the Belt and Road Initiative gone unfinished, the Xiangon Special Zone has gone unfinished. The Guangdong, Hong Kong, Macau, Greater Bay Area has gone unfinished. The Beijing Stock Exchange has gone unfinished. The Hainan Island Free Trade Zone has gone unfinished. Shenzhen's international financial center has gone unfinished, and things here in Hong Kong. So obviously, this chap is from Hong Kong, have gone unfinished. Even more, I'll make a bold guess now. Has his move against Zhang Yuxia, uh, will it end up unfinished too? Let's keep watching for now. So he said a lot of said in this. Okay, so very clearly, people, this business is unfinished. Until that such time it's unfinished, it's going to have a problem. Let me explain why. Uh, I keep saying this, but I think people don't seem to be understanding this. Zhang Yuxia is not an ordinary guy. You have to understand the relationship between the party and the PLA. Successive general secretaries of the party, successive guys have controlled the party through the PLA. The PLA is the second. The Central Military Commission is second after the Standing Committee of the Politburo in power. That is why everyone wants to control the Central Military Commission. The premier of China is not the number two in China. The number two in China is the number two of the Central Military Commission at this point of time, or when Zhang Yuxia was there. That's the interesting part. People don't understand. Why would a number one arrest his number two? Right? Very interesting. This is some connect which I don't see coming out of many people. It's not, it's just power struggle, period. It's not corruption, it's not nuclear secrets. Right? And this is all not of, this propaganda sites I'm talking of. I'm talking of my deep study of China. So there is a thing. And then what I have studied about Zhang Yuxia more, which has come to light, is the fact that he was respected in China. He's highly respected in China within the PLA. I read a nice article about Zhang Yuxia. It says this was by an American who's met Zhang Yuxia and professionally been in contact officially. He says whenever Zhang Yuxia enters a room, people get up with respect. Zhang Yuxia, and he says that this guy who's American, he says, I've met a lot of PLA generals. I met Zhang Yuxia. I met a lot of this thing. But Zhang Yuxia had a air of authority around him. He says many PLA generals are just, they don't know anything about military. He's made a general because he's a party guy. He's got no clue. And he has to be part of the delegation for political purposes. Right? So, there are many generals who are more administrative in nature, not technocratic or not military professional. There's a thing about military professionalism. He says Zhang Yuxia, that guy says Zhang Yuxia had this air of that military professional. When he went, met people, the way he spoke, the way he interacted with, the army personnel at lower level, it makes a difference. It makes a difference. And I'll give you my own example. I've had this thing with one of the vice chairman of PLA or the vice chief of PLA. So let me give the story and then I'll get back to this presentation. When I was in Bombay, one day I got a call. Look, tomorrow the vice chief of the PLA is going to come to Bombay. You're to host him. I said, what's he coming there for? People said, look, he's coming. He's passing. He's going through to South Africa. And he's just going to stage through Bombay, but host him. Fine. So I got in touch with my staff got in touch with the Chinese consul in Bombay. They fixed up everything, done. So the thing was he was to come to lunch for us and then spend some time and And that whole thing is a great story. There were 5, 6 stories in this, but I'll leave that out. So this guy came, normal, in the mess who hosted him, dinner, I mean lunch, music around, live music, Indian music, all that, fine. And throughout the talk was not about military. It was about China's development. We have high speed rails and this and that, yeah, all that. Fine. Then, uh, interestingly, this lieutenant general was accompanied by two major generals. One was the staff, the other was the MA, the Chinese MA in India. They have a major general here as a MA. I'm sure they're still there. Now we call him a DA, whatever it is. Both these guys were there. And the DA was trying to explain a lot of things to me because he was proficient in English. I said, fine, no problem. We would this thing. And I kept it also the way he was talking. And at the end of the meal, as is, there's a band playing. At the end of the meal, it's customary, a military tradition in the army. In fact, it's the tradition in all our services that we go and give a pat and thank the band, give them a present, sweets, or in good old days used to be rum. So I'd arranged for that naturally. So I told him, I said, look, this is a professional thing. We have to do it. Please come with me and you give the present. And it's as if your thing. So MI was asking, so how what? I said, look, don't worry. We've catered for this thing. Let the vice chief give the, present to the band. So we went out. The band was playing outside. And Bombay was warm that day. Inside the mess was AC, facey, and all that. Came out little warm, fine. हम तो Bombay के, we knew the weather of Bombay, sultry, all that. So I took him, and he was uncomfortable. The moment he came out into that sultry weather of Bombay, he was uncomfortable. I could make out, but diplomatically, I stood come sand, and so the band major came to me, Hawldar major. It's a कौन सा गाना बजाना है? I said this. Then the second, it's normally two, one for the host and one for the guest. So I asked him, "Do you have any band particular thing?" He didn't say anything. So I had rehearsed that band with a Chinese tune, so they played that. So he was quite happy. Yeah, wo. But it takes time. All this takes, each tune takes about 3 minutes, 5, 6 minutes in the sun. He started sweating, and when he started sweating, I was standing next to him. Suddenly, a guy from behind comes, pushes me out, or nudges in between, which is bad manners. You don't touch the host. They did it, and they started cleaning, what with a hanky, sweat off his neck. The On the other side, another guy started doing it. I casually looked around and saw both were major generals, and they were cleaning sweat off this general's back. I said, "What is this?" I mean, it shocked me. It completely shocked me. Because in my entire life, I've never let anyone do that. You talk of oddlies and all that. Oddlies there. I mean, we've always had a oddly. And you call him whatever you call him, Sahayak, oddly, all that. But he did military jobs for me. He would get my uniform ready. He'll get my certain appointments ready. He'll take care of certain perspectives at home or for office, right from day one. He'll ensure Saab is ready in time. That's his job. Is But he'll never touch me. And here, two major generals wiping sweat off this vice chief's neck. Because on that day, I knew this was a army which can't fight. So that's the kind of generals they have. And this guy was enjoying that thing. I won't let my orderly touch, leave alone an officer, two major generals. Bad. Anyway, let me come back to this story. So you see that this guy, as what the American said, was a very professional guy, and he had a mind of his own. And later on, also, if you see, uh, you know, I mean, how do I put it? Much later on, I've read about this on and off Zhang Yuxia to be a competent guy who had a mind of his own, who could speak against the hierarchy, and he was not bothered about Xi Jinping, and he was conscious of the fact that Xi Jinping needed him, and it not the other way around. He was a guy who had retired because he crossed 72 in the last party congress. Xi Jinping told him, please come back and run the army for me. And we are sucking that guy now. Very deep. Right? So let's see. So let's see how this will go forward. Look, Zhang Yuxia and Li Zhenli might be eliminated completely. But these were operational guys. Right? And over a period of 3 years, 2 years really, each guy in the Central Military Commission, one by one, you knock them off. Whatever. A chap, T. Dong, has died also. He was the core number two with Zhang Yuxia. They might be eliminated, these two chaps also. They might die, they might never come surface. We don't know. But the consequences for China will be deadly on two counts. One, you're not lost military competence. So you're going to have a non-professional military leadership coming up, whose only thing is loyalty. They fight? They can't fight. And then you'll have a Z-centered political leadership, which is sensing an opportunity. And what do I say about this Z-sensing political leadership? Because within the, like I said, like I showed earlier also, the standing committee of the Politburo are the seven wise men of China, headed by Xi Jinping. No one has moved an inch. They're all loyal to him still because they are handpicked loyals without a political base. The CMC, the CMC, number two, was his number two also politically. So if that guy is taken off and PLA is now going to be packed with non-professional leaders, Xi Jinping's power might be absolute. And that's dangerous. That absolutism of power in China has always had problems. Of course, the fact is that Xi Jinping, you see, the point is you look at this tweet now, connect what I'm saying into what this chap said. A whole lot of unfinished businesses. So Xi Jinping might leave this business unfinished. If he leaves this unfinished at some point of time, or he cannot finish it off, then the political rope is burning from both ends in China, the military end and the political end. Right. Like I said earlier, all this is happening when Canada, UK, Finland are leaning to China. And Trump is pushing away allies. That's the opportunity. It's not as if, anyone can take advantage of what's happening in China at this point of time. Least of all Trump. Because Trump is too busy with Greenland, he's too busy with Iran. You see, for a country like, superpower like America, it is a superpower. Opportunities come once in a blue moon. My own view is China is wasting, America is wasting this opportunity. The kind of imbalance which China is in now, USA could have done hell of a lot. That MAGA, Make America Great Again, hinged around ensuring that, ensuring that China doesn't become great. But Trump is doing exactly the opposite. His concept of MAGA is completely different. So this is what is going to compound issues, and I'll just talk of it. I saw this wonderful article by Mr. Vijay Gokhale, who was our ambassador to China and also a foreign secretary. He makes a lot of important points in this. And some of the points which struck my mind, and I had I had to put it across to all of you. And I would suggest that anyone of you who's interested in understanding what's happening in China, the way it is happening in China, read this. Read this article. Z in Chinese Checkers by Vijay Gokhale. Type it, you'll get it. And also today morning, Mr. Ranade, Jaydev Ranade, he's also come out with an article. That's also a good article. It puts a lot of things in perspective. But it's not a matter of this article is better than that, but this article focuses on something which I've always felt is the crux of China. And when you have to understand this, why am I talking of all this? This is my analysis. I have to read China to you as I'm thinking. Okay. Uh, Three things. 1962, when Mao invaded India, there was a famine in China. We got it wrong then. We got it complete. We didn't even know there was a famine in China and China was in a bad shape. If we had that thing right, they couldn't have done what they did in 1962. And if we knew there was a famine in China and yet let this thing, how poor our leadership was, how poor our intelligence was, how poor our military was. I mean, I don't excuse my military also. How poor our coordination was. 1969, there was a military action against USSR then. And this was on the back of the wholesale purges being carried out in PLA by Mao. Okay. In his later days, he still took up cudgels against USSR. The leadership was in no shape. Okay. And yet they went into USSR. 79, there was an internal struggle. Deng had not consolidated China. Yet they went into Vietnam. USA was, what shall I say, China was not prepared fully militarily to go into Vietnam. They went in, suffered casualties, all that. And a lot of analysis say this was done to stabilize Chinese politics internally, to purge people who were useless and purge the PLA. Now, if all this is happening, there's an internal struggle going on and everything is weakening and all that. Shouldn't we be worried? That's a question. In fact, that's rightly the question which Vijay Gokhale also asked in the end in this article. And he he brings out the historical fact that Mao was himself. It's not as if he is not being challenged or this is something which is uncommon or all that. Mao himself was challenged twice by Peng Duhai and Lin Biao. Now the thing is, why did he take the great leap forward to to sort out? Because there was a lot of criticism that economically, fine, you consolidated China, but economically we are backward. We have to take forward. So he made the great leap, largely to bloody purge his opponents or silence his opponents because he was facing challenges. And then the Cultural Revolution. Why was the Cultural Revolution taken? To purge the party, to purge the PLA. And then in that process, Peng Duhai also stood up. Lin Biao was his designated successor, whom he wanted to make a coup. Even Deng himself, his rule was challenged by Zhao Jiang during the Tiananmen Square incident. So, In all these cases, if you see, Xi Jinping knows that there are going to be challenges to his rule, and it is a very potent challenge. So far, the one which was done last year after his stroke and all that were light challenges. He was away for a week, were simple challenges. This is structural. He might purge, but after that things might go bad, big time. That's the point. And see the history of externalizing, even if you're imbalanced and unprepared internally. Yeah, people say he might not go undertake Taiwan. I also feel Taiwan is off the table now, at least for the next 2 3 years, because that fundamental capability has been taken out. But that opens up India. That opens up India. That's what I'm worried about. But how will it come? Will it come in a military fashion or a non-military fashion? Right? There's overall, Xi Jinping will weaken China. He will weaken himself as he ages. He's aged. He's not good health. That is now not very clear. As a result, you're going to hereafter face a unstable China. Because every guy in the loop will say, okay, look, मेरा पत्ता आने वाला है. So I should plan. And every guy will start looking at a post Xi Jinping scenario for himself in China. And of course, Xi Jinping also, remember, he's got his, around the 20th Party Congress, he's got those two established set, the two core principles of the Communist Party and Xi Jinping being central to China. All this is inconsistent in the books. He's got history written for himself. He's the greatest. He's done all this. He has to preserve that. That preservation will come only when he gets the next Congress into his belt. He's after all made himself the president for life. So all these issues are thing, and he is doing his own manipulating. The others are looking at a post-Z scenario, and the anti-corruption drive is on. The anti-corruption drive is no more about anti-corruption alone. It's all about stability and political stability or political loyalty. So China is going to be unstable hereafter. I mean, let's not have any doubts. On the political and military front, these two itself are causes for instability. And we should be clear. Internal happenings are no indicators of China's external posture. This is a broad point I'm making. So you're looking at internal instability, you're looking at political instability, military instability on the cards. Macro signals are double-edged. There is one issue is what I explained to you so far. Xi is trying to consolidate. As he's consolidating, he's generating weakness in China. Okay? He's generating weakness in China. Remember, this is a very critical 3 sentences I put. There are externals are booming and internals are poor. So far, I have not spoken of other things. Let me connect these and also give you an update on what's happening in China. These updates will connect the macro issue. Right. Look at this. This article by New York Post. Very interesting. Okay. And it talks of the world's busiest port, which is Ningbo, which is south of Shanghai. Okay. They talk of China's unbalanced economy, which comes into view. Just the heading tells you everything. If you go into the thing, more things come out. The shipping traffic and factories never stop in China's port city of Ningbo. But the local housing market has crashed, and nearby markets and restaurants are empty. The two faces of China which we're going to see. Strong externals, poor internals. Okay. Then this next article. I don't know whether it's planted. I don't know. Is it research or something? Again, it's by that lady Ling Ling Wei, who is, uh, Wall Street Journal. Now it's very certified. A lot of people are saying that this, I wouldn't say it's been penetrated. It is being used by China to post. But in that whole story, this article which came out 2 days back, made me think and showed you. I'll show you a few graphs which have come out on this, and they're all graphs, absolute good graphs, because they're based on Chinese government statistics. Virtually, the source in this is the China's National Bureau of Statistics. Look at the consumer confidence index. Right? Look, go back. Deflation doom loop trapping China's economy. So this article talks of Chinese economy trapped, internal trapping. Okay, and I've shown you about that New York Times thing. I mean, just look at the analysis. This is the confidence. See where it is. It's hovering the bottom. And this is again a very interesting thing. He says China's urban non-private units average wage year over year change is going down. Wages are not increasing, they're going down. Again, these are statistics coming out of China. Okay, non-private units are organizations in urban areas that aren't privately owned, such as government bodies, public institutions, and state-owned enterprises, as well as joint ventures and foreign-funded companies. Okay, or they're public, joint ventures, and even foreign companies which are funded by foreigners through the state and all that. Wages are going down, and these are Chinese figures. Why are they coming out? Monthly retail sales over year change. Look at this. This is how it has gone down. It's going down further. And the change is negative. Household consumption. This is the world. And this is China. See the gap in consumption. So when today people say that, China is doing enough to resume consumption, all that, take care. Treat it with a bit of salt. Not a pinch of salt, a bag of salt. In this article, this lady writes, across China's economy, consumers aren't spending enough and producers are making too much. Okay, any economy which doesn't consume is a one trick pony. Okay, many feel that they have no choice but to lower prices to unload inventory, eating into profits. That's what they're doing. Lot of export, very little profit. People say 1.2 trillion trade surplus. It's because, there is a lot of it is going out, but no more. That it doesn't generate profit. It is gross figures. With less money on hand, businesses are limiting wage growth, pausing hiring, and shedding employees, which means workers have less to spend, continuing the vicious cycle. This China is trapped internally. It has to get its thing external. If that is gone, China is in a spin. And you see the political thing which is going on. So China, sooner or later, might not have any option left but to go external militarily. Just like what USA is doing. What is USA doing? Trump is trying to revive the American economy through military might. Exactly that can happen here. There's a story of a small thing which I picked up on that article. There's some guy, Zhang Liben, general manager. He says the dealers' car prices were 30% lower in 2025 than in 2024. 30% off, profits down 50% from a good year. They're searching for new customers in Middle East, Central Africa, and Central Asia and Africa. Then where are the markets? Now, if you go to Middle East, fine. What about Central Asia and Africa? Who will pay? They have to sell at lower prices. It's the lucrative markets are Europe and America. Europe has already insured itself by taking a FTA with you. They want to give cars here. If you are allowed to some extent, fine. We'll see how that goes. That's a different story. We talked of involution, we talked of overproduction and all. This article says the humanoid robotics sector, one of Beijing's new favored industry, may also be falling into a pattern of overinvestment and excess competition. China's top economic planning agency last year warned of a risk of a bubble with more than 150 companies in the industry. So tomorrow you're going to have a surfeit of robotics coming out of China with no market. Or it's going to be pushed. And if you accept those robotics, your own story is cooked. As simple as that. Okay, as simple as that. But then in a thing like robotics and all, will you buy? Will you buy their robotics which can go any day off? Trust factor? There's no trust in China. Okay, you can buy a car or you can buy a solar power thing or solar panels and all. It's only generating electricity for you, there's nothing much. But will you take something which is going to function? Your robotics for your factories, for your switching systems, all that, and put a Chinese thing in your setup? But they will not have a choice because they're going to cut prices and all that. And like this, every new tech sector which comes is going to get going into a loop of involution. That will make China not rich, right? The economic problem will keep multiplying. If the economic problem multiplies, there's going to have a political effect. The only way that political effect is going to be sorted out is by externalizing your military. That's exactly what's happening in US. Why will he not? Why will Xi Jinping not follow this rule? Look at the other things. Look at South China Morning Post. It says consumer spending push faces major challenge. Debt averse households. People are not taking debts. Monthly retail rates are gone. You look at this. These are all official figures from there. This is from National Bureau of Statistics. Wages down, consumers down, retail sales down. There's nothing very great. Internally, China is, I don't know whether I can call it collapse, but it is slowly going down. Externally, they have no choice but to export. And if they have to export, they are exporting at low prices with no profits. That means that the internal thing will never resolve. We are seeing this. And with this, same thing. I think I'm repeating myself. They're cutting lending rates. But the thing is, they're cutting lending rates for people to go into debt. They're cutting lending rates and giving it to people to produce more. It doesn't help. They're talking of a flexible GDP. But you see, another problem, they're GDP fixated. However much they fix the figure because that's the target which people have to achieve. They want to raise minimum wages and so that they can boost household spending. Not going to happen. Not going to happen. And then, of course, the problem of their population that's not running away. It's in fact coming faster now. There are reports now coming out that the problem might be more deeper than we thought. Then I also thought, look, this chap E. Fuxian, he says United Nations predictions have always been ridiculously exaggerated without exception. He says the UN's 2019, 6 years back, World Population Prospects predicted that China's population would start declining in 2032. I've been saying this. Now the others are coming out with figures and authorities. And it would still have 1.065 billion people in 2100, next century. The 22 edition said the population will begin declining in 22. Array, within 3 years, UN changed tracks like this. And it will drop to 760 million in 2100. So from 1 billion, it's gone down to this thing. Now the 2024 latest prediction, okay, and the population will be just 633 million by 2100. In a matter of 3 years, the UN has itself changed this tack based on what is happening. Everyone has been lying to each other in this. No modicum of truth. In a matter of 3 years, I mean, your prediction, which was 1 billion, come down to 750 billion. Now it's now 600 odd billion. Million. I mean, billions, I'm to say. So this is going to be a serious thing. The societal effects of this, the psychological effects of this are playing out, and it's going to come faster. People and the prospects are not getting better. People want the education technology sector to come back. There's a pushback against that. This is the one which Xi Jinping collapsed. And in fact, one of the things which he did when he collapsed this sector was the Chinese economy started collapsing from that day onwards. It's not recovered. People want this back because there's a felt need. He's not allowing them. This could revive the economy, but he's not allowing it. Could, of course, it was a cancer of its own kind, but you modify it. But no, he's not doing it. People are under pressure to marry. People are committing suicide. Ladies, because the pressure to marry off is so much from the top, it's coming down on people. People are getting their daughters, putting pressure on their daughters. These are things which are coming out in their headlines. This is not my headline. See the societal effects which are taking place simultaneously. This is something new, a new trend I've seen. There's a loneliness economy. If you see the number of people who are living single is increasing. That's why they have micro suite, because they know family. This chap is not going to marry, or he or she is not going to marry. He's not living with his parents. He's got no grandparents. He's got no children, nothing. So he's living alone. What is this country going through? We also know that many of us, have to go out and stay. I've stayed alone in the forge for long years in the field because. But at the end of the day, I had a lot of connect. I had a lot of family, a lot of. When I say family, the army was my family. My organization was my family. Even now, if I look at it, IIT is my. I have friends in IIT where I live, and all that. But when young people live alone and they're lonely, and you're talking of loneliness economy, what kind of a nation is this? Very interesting. So, the movements which are happening is something else. When all this is happening, Xi Jinping comes out with this do nothing officials should be punished. Do nothing is more, that chap is sitting, which way the wind is blowing. So internals are going bad, even worse. And now today morning I saw this article, and then I started thinking how China's tech prowess could help it overtake India as office of the world. Look, this won't happen. Okay. They say India is the office of the world, yeah, all that, and they say, how do we draw people away? It might not happen. I mean, they won't do it the normal way because you have so many. We are talking of so much investment coming, so many global capable centers coming, making technology, yeah, all that. He wants to take that away from you. How will he do it? Externalize. So the externalizing of this whole story, which I've been talking, will it come militarily or non-militarily? If it comes non-militarily, how will it come? If it comes militarily, how will it come? If it comes through a third party like Pakistan or Bangladesh, how will it come? That's the danger. That's the uncertainty we have to start thinking of. Will it come through cyber attacks on these global capability centers? Or all these things where we are heavily, you see, whether we like it or not, in our system, we already have a lot of Chinese equipment, good, bad, or ugly. How do you handle that? I think we have to start thinking differently. This double edged sword called China is dicey. Okay. I just thought I'll put all this across. I've connected the external with the internal, politically, economically, and culturally and societally and militarily. As days go by, my thing is very clear. China is going to become more of a danger to you than USA. USA has a different kind of a danger. And please understand, the threat to the Chinese economy comes from a rising India, right? And so we'll see how this whole story goes. Okay, and we'll keep it. I'm thankful to all of you who have joined in. If you like this video, do press a like button. Also, subscribe to Ghana Short and join me as members. Right, I'd be more than happy. I'll be grateful if you can join me to help children who need education. Okay. With this, I'll take on a few questions, and I'm not going to go from bottom up so that they are reactionary questions to what I've spoken rather than your pre thing. I'll get all of them. Yeah, yeah. Chinese labor laws have made over 35 problem I've examined. Um, yeah, would you know about the skin effect in RF conduction? Perhaps an analogy can be drawn of the skin effect in Chinese economy. Only shell is in circuit, core is empty. Yes, I agree with you. Yeah, no wonder China wants to manufacture military. Yeah, I agree with you. If China will attack, whom will it attack? USA, Taiwan, Japan, us. Also, will it completely embolden the hybrid element? Yeah, this is the thing. I'll discuss this. I'm very clear. You're going to have hybrid attacks. You're going to be in the gray zone. You're going to be attacked economically. You're going to be attacked technologically. You already said they already want to take your services sector. Where are you the strongest? Yeah, Narsimha Rao, good morning. Thanks a lot. Um, your thoughts about letter by Zhang Yuxia, he's clear in his thoughts. Yeah, he's put out. That's a thing which has come out in social media. But I don't know the veracity of that letter. That's why I'm not commented on it. I've read that. Okay, about all that. But I'm not talking of this. I'm talking of authentic sources talking about him. This is, we don't know whether who's put this out. Yeah, with the instability in China, how will CCP's worldwide assets fare? CPC, BRA, etc. They'll not die. He's got no choice but to maintain those external assets. He has to externalize. It's going to be troublesome. And we have to see how he's going to behave. I don't know. But definitely China has to make its moves. And Mr. Trump is giving him choices. Trump is giving him the choices. See, Trump is also playing a double hand. I wouldn't say double hand, there are two sides. His moves against Venezuela, Iran, Greenland, and all might pay off. But the fact is, his moves against the rest of the world, his allies, is pushing people toward China. So, which is what China wants. If tomorrow UK comes and Finland comes and does increased trade with China, they're happy about it. Yeah, low consumption can also mean there's a potential to increase consumption. There will always been a potential to increase consumption, but there's no way it's going to happen. I mean, this is all theoretical thinking. A little dose of inflation may push companies upwards. Where will the dose of inflation come from? When you have so many items which are not being sold. If Z wants to externalize, then he would want his people to see something kinetic rather than being covered push against us. I look at this point of time, things are too unstable. Okay, uncertain. I wouldn't like to comment on this. Let's watch. Let's watch. Too early. Okay, too early. What do you think about the letter? I've already said about this. We don't know whether it is right or wrong. Let's see how it plays out. Maybe in the next 2 3 days we'll get the thing. Love the emitter reference. Yeah, I don't. I go with you. It's that letter doesn't seem natural to me, and I don't think Zhang Yugji is the kind of a guy who will write a letter. What little I've read about him. If US strikes Iran, what could China do to help Iran? Nothing. They'll do nothing. Uh, a program on RAP, how range of Pinaka BM can be increased. We'll do that. Don't worry. Yeah. You have been claiming demise of Chinese regime Z era, but no change. Are you sure you speak of relay or just fiction? Yeah, I agree with you. That's your thinking because you're fixated. If you see the change which has happened, and exactly it's going as per a trajectory which I've predicted. This is not going to happen over a year. I've said this before. This is going to happen over a decade. I think, obviously, you don't see the reality. You are one of those guys who wants instant results. You see the decline which is happening I'm basing it on the Chinese statistics, on Chinese reporting, on Chinese media. Obviously, you feel that a baby can be made in 9 days, not 9 months. You are of that mentality. I think you should change it for your own good. Can an unprofessional PLA lead to? Yes, that's the problem. Yeah, with all these purchases, Z continues to prove his strength in China, but overall military strength is downgraded. Taiwan is obtainable now. Taiwan is out at this point of time. He has to first stabilize, and he will see where he has to externalize. We'll have to see that. It's too early for me to say, talk of that. Is there a problem in transmission on your side? No, not at all. Our best choice is now to ask industries to come here. It's now or never. I agree with you. Yeah, there are videos on China Observer YouTube channel that show sounds of fire. Yeah, that's look. A lot of these channels are handles which or rather channels which are part of information warfare from the West and especially America. So I don't trust them too much. That's why I don't quote them. Hmm. Okay. Yeah, this I want to answer. Sweets instead of rum. Is it the Gujarat model of prohibition and the army too? Have they stopped serving wine on state dinners too, just being inquisitive? Let me explain it. You need to get the right thing. It was a tradition of the armed forces to give rum. Senior officers giving rum to juniors and all that, or liquor, a bottle of whiskey. Right? Uh, Somewhere around 2 decades back. It's not new. It's not Gujarat model here. Not even 2 decades. Probably uh, when I became a CEO, I'm now going back, yeah, 25 years back. We stopped giving liquor to our men as tofa. We felt that it was not correct. There's a thing which is within the army, right? Especially in, you see, when it was a colonial army, fine, you gave liquor to men and they were happy and you all that. The Britishers did that. And we followed it for a long time. But somewhere we said, why should you give men liquor? Because then they become indisciplined and things like that. Why didn't you give something useful? Uh, so two things happen. When a senior officer comes and visits a unit and so you give sweets or something to eat or some little memento to that guy who's helping you, your driver, your LO and things like that. We also started. I also started. Even now I do. When I go to Delhi, meet stay in the army messes. I stay in army messes. I go to Delhi only for army work, well, mostly, or think tank works. So there are. Uh, I take something from Chennai, some speciality from Chennai, some memento, and give it to them as a token of my thanks to the help they gave me. I mean, when you go at 11 o'clock at night in Delhi, in cold, there's a chap waiting for you, take you to your room and see you're comfortable, respect, give him something. You don't go empty handed. No, that's our culture. Some time back, it used to be rum, but now that's gone. That's completely gone. I mean, you have to understand this. So, sweet instead of rum is not the Gujarat model. I know what you're getting at. This is not gotten by Mr. Modi. This is internal to the army, which changed long back. And wine on state dinners, we've never been there. No wine in state dinners. The government of India state dinners doesn't have wine. Okay, so it's how that's it. I just thought I'll clarify all this to all of you. Right. Uh, yeah, you have analyzed cornered or unstable power can be unpredictable. Well, will ever China go Japan's way in heading the declining young population by replacing it with immigration labor? Immigration labor, I don't think will happen, but Japanification of China is happening. Okay, on that, let's not have any doubts. And like I said, as China keeps going down, we'll have more problems. So I leave today. Yeah, Jagtap says the audacity of Z to arrest them both while UK PM is in the country is really something. What does it tell? There's a huge power struggle which is going on. Please understand that. It's important. And thanks a lot, Ravi, for your super sticker. Thanks a lot. Okay. seems Trump is trying to weaken China. What do you think India should go and help Trump? Look, Trump is a problem for us. We'll talk of this separately. Maybe today evening. Today evening, join me and Rajiv with Sanjay Dikshit. Right, 7 o'clock. We are on. Okay, join me. I'm sure we'll get this point which you come across. Okay, with this, thanks a lot. Thanks for a lot for staying with me the whole show. Uh, we'll meet in the evening. Till then, have a great day and enjoy yourselves. Jai Hind to all of you.